Am I shocked? No, absolutely not. So, it's being reported week 2 of Fantastic Four. First Step suffered a 66% drop in comparison to Superman's 53%. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I saw this coming. Um, there are so many. I feel as though what a lot of people, and for a lot of people, I say like people that have one brain cell, and that brain cell is in the middle of having a stroke, is that they'll scream DI as the reason as to why Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, and Marvel movies just ain't hitting the way in which they used to, money wise. Because mind you, it's not writing. The writing for both Fantastic Four First Steps and Thunderbolts was fantastic. It was really good. But then an argument could be said that is it really, really good? Is it fantastic? Or are we suffering from a situation where a lot of these movies are simply better than the garbage we've received during like the last two phases? So let's actually talk about what is going on. Why ain't the Marvel movies hitting the way in which they used to? Number one, Thor: Love and Thunder and Ant-Man: Quantumania did irreparable harm to the brand. You see, there was a point in time, and I know a lot of people will go back to like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Hey, the shirt this week is Boba Fett. Um, they'll go back to those phases and go, everything was great. No, like you had movies that were great, but then you have movies that were also decent. For instance, Iron Man 2 is decent. Iron Man 3 is decent. Captain Marvel is bad. Um, Ant-Man 2 is also decent, but I would probably also slide it into the level of being mediocre. Ant-Man 3, fucking horrible. So there are a bunch of movies that we received during phases 1 all the way up to phase 3, leading into both Infinity War and Endgame that just really weren't that good. Thor: The Dark World, the first Captain America movie, First Avenger. I fucking love First Avenger, but I had a lot of friends that really it didn't gel with them at all. They really didn't start getting on the Cap bandwagon until we arrived at Winter Soldier. So we've had decent movies, we've had mediocre movies, and we've had bad movies. Here's the problem. When we got into phase, what was that? MCU phases. I gotta actually see the exact moment. The exact moment. Gotta look up the exact moment when everything just went to absolute shit. And it is definitely after Endgame, but it's not as close into Endgame as Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness was the first film that I can, in all honesty, say where people were like, it was just okay. It wasn't really great. It ain't horrible. It's just fine. I'm not overwhelmed. I'm not underwhelmed. I'm just whelmed. But then you had Thor: Love and Thunder, which was abysmal on multiple levels, where at least Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness gave us these fantastic colors and these look at different realities that Strange was going through, and the 838, yeah, the 838 universe and everything that got up to. That was cool. Seeing Professor X, seeing Captain Carter, even though Captain Carter's not everybody's cup of tea. I understand. A lot of people don't like her because they've overused her ass. And I'm also getting exasperated with the overusage of Captain Carter. But all of these things were great to see in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Then you get into Thor: Love and Thunder, and this is where the cart starts to go off the rails. And what I mean by that is you had bad CGI, you had horrible writing, wasting of so many different talented actors in the film. The overusage of jokes, the underusage of the more serious, thought provoking Source material, Thor Love and Thunder was the first black mark against the MCU. Then you jump into Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And Wakanda Forever, really the only reason, and I know a lot of people are going to be mad that I say this, but the only reason Wakanda Forever made as much money as it did is that it was carried on the backs of black people choosing to support the film, going to go see the film, in memory of Chadwick Boseman, due to the fact that they really, really liked the first film, it being like a cultural thing for us. If you were to remove us from that equation, Black Panther Wakanda Forever does not do well. I believe Wakanda Forever did less than. I believe Wakanda Forever did less than. Let's see. Wakanda Forever made. Where you at? It made 859 million. If I remember correctly, the first Black Panther film did like 1.4. Yeah, did 1.35 billion. So that is a steep difference between the two. Like I said, Wakanda Forever is essentially propped up a lot because it was such a cultural thing that a lot of black people showed up and showed out for the film. Now, you jump into a film like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which was supposed to be the start of Phase 5, the grand beginning of the new direction of the MCU. Here's the problem. So, 1 year before Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania drops, Disney, not Marvel, Disney chose to fire James Gunn. Now, you may think that this is just some innocuous type of situation that occurs every once in a while. Every day somebody's old tweets get pulled up. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be super fucking famous and somebody's going to find my old tweets from the original Xbox Live on like Call of Duty 2 and Call of Duty 3 and Call of Duty 4. And that's going to be a wrap for me. That's the last time you're going to see me online. It's like, well, I knew this day would come eventually. Me, all my fellas, it was a nice run for each and every one of us, but we said some heinous shit on Xbox Live. Who didn't? We were all fucking kids. But a lot of the time, a lot of these controversial tweets end up resurfacing, and instead of looking at the individual's character from when they made the tweet to now, the tweet in question is typically taken and it is the thing that is honed in on and you are crucified by it. And James Gunn was fired for those early tweets. I really don't give a shit how people feel about James Gunn. For the last 15, 20 years, aside from the bad taste tweets that who the fuck didn't do cringy shit when they were younger, James Gunn has been a staple of being a kind of maverick, but at least a decent fucking human being. A lot more decent than a lot of the other people some of these individuals choose to watch online and get their fucking opinions from. But jumping away from, well, I shouldn't say jumping away from the James Gunn situation, going into the James Gunn situation, is the fact that Marvel had essentially hired James Gunn after Guardians of the Galaxy 2 to essentially begin building what they called the it wasn't called the multiverse saga back then, but he was basically fleshing out the celestial side of the MCU. We're talking Quasar, we're talking more Nova, we're talking everything that is going on in space was supposed to be on the back of what James Gunn was working on. It's one of the reasons why you may be like, well, why aren't we ever getting Eternals again? Well, the way in which the Eternals were set up, if they were to get a sequel, is the fact that they were going to be feeding into this cosmic, celestial storyboard that James Gunn was cooking up. When James Gunn was fired, that storyboard was essentially thrown out the fucking window. It was basically thrown in the goddamn trash. And when it was thrown into the trash, there was a sharp pivot. And the pivot was towards Kang and the multiversal saga. Now, here's the thing. And Kevin Feige is on record saying that the way in which they treated Kang, they tried to treat Kang the way in which they treated Thanos, and it didn't work out for them. Yes, The thing about Thanos is, how many times does Thanos actively show up in the MCU? Every character gets their original introduction. Then we get Avengers. Then he shows up at the end of Avengers for like 5 seconds, smiles at the camera. Then we jump into phase two. Phase two, we get a sequence of him for around 15 seconds in Guardians of the Galaxy. Then we get another sequence of him for about 5 seconds in Thor the Dark World. And then he's hinted at in the background as the mastermind in Age of Ultron with the stone being inside of Loki's staff. Right? Then you jump into phase three. Phase three, we get hints that, he's on the way, a little bit of hints dropped in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, some hints dropped once again in Thor Ragnarok when he shows up towards the end. The entire time, we're building towards it. This major threat is on the horizon. I think, I want to say it was Avengers Age of Ultron where we saw him go, fine, I'll do it myself when he goes to get the gauntlet. I could have sworn that was Avengers Age of Ultron. I may be wrong. It could have probably been in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. But you see this slow buildup to just how dangerous Thanos actually is. We essentially got that same buildup where Loki, the TV show that a lot of people watched, sets up Kang to be this overarching villain that we're going to be following for the next few phases until it's finally time for us to show down with him. Ant-Man Quantumania blew that by having him get beat. It blew it by introducing him way too early. Then it blew it again by having him be defeated. And even though you take a step back and you go, okay, yeah, sure, this is only just a variant, and he's probably one of the weaker variants, and we're going to be seeing like Red Centurion, and we're going to be seeing Immortus, and we're going to be seeing Ramakan, all these different truly powerful versions of Kang the Conqueror. The mystique of Kang the Conqueror was shattered by Quantumania. Quantumania completely shattered it. The storyline for Quantumania was horrible. It suffered from a lot of the same CGI issues that Thor Love and Thunder did, but even more because it was all basically on a green screen. Everything was basically a green screen in that film, and it just didn't hit the way in which I feel they wanted it to hit. Then, of course, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 drops. It's probably the most heartfelt movie of all the MCU films. James Gunn's love song to the Fantastic Trilogy that he essentially set up, and then he exits. And then what follows that? The Marvels. And the Marvels was not good. It wasn't good at all. It was great acting from Kamala Khan, and I will always love her character and the actress as well. But for the most part, the story that the Marvels essentially attempted to do just wasn't good. Deadpool and Wolverine was basically, it was there. I feel as though a lot of people are like, hey, look at Deadpool and Wolverine. It's great. It was an outlier. It was basically the continuation of the Deadpool story and just dragging him into the MCU, but it didn't serve in any way, shape, and form, setting up this major villain that was supposed to be Kang the Conqueror. And of course, talking about Kang the Conqueror, Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors ends up being fired by Marvel due to the incident that happens between both him and his girlfriend. So now you're in a situation once again where you have to pivot. What do you choose to pivot to? You choose to pivot back to Robert Downey Jr. This is once again where everything split. Where before it was the bad writing, where before it was the bad CGI, where before it was the bad direction that phase 4 and phase 5 had essentially followed. Now you're attempting to basically run back to what you feel as though is the safest option. And you run back to Robert Downey Jr. to bring him back as a version of Doctor Doom instead of just basically casting Doctor Doom as his own character with another actor, and then probably having a variant of Robert Downey Jr. show up in Secret War to help out with whatever it is that the Avengers are essentially fighting. So now, you've lost people because the story and the writing has gotten worse. You've lost people because there really isn't any direction, so there's nothing to really be hyped about in regards to the projects that you're working on. You've lost people because of horrible CGI. You've lost people because now you are attempting to bring back old characters in new versions to basically nostalgia trip people in order to come back. And your writing really didn't get any better with Captain America Brave New World, where Brave New World, which was supposed to be the first outing for Sam Wilson's Captain America, fell flat because once again there's the misuse of Hulk characters. Once again, the misuse of Hulk characters in another hero's story, which pisses off Hulk fans, which kind of pushes people away. There's the overusage of trailers that are just revealing way too much about the film. And talking about that, there is also a new culture. And that new culture before was, it was an experience. The experience was, I go to the theater, I watch the movie in the theater. Maybe somebody might leak a few scenes online on YouTube, but then I would go and I would talk to my friends. Now you're in a situation where you're 15 years divorced from that, and scenes are instantaneously leaked on TikTok the day in which they come out. And sometimes scenes are being leaked on TikTok literally a day before the film comes out. And these scenes are getting millions upon millions of views, and they are forming and shaping how certain people are going to choose to whether or not go and see the film because of what they saw, or stay away from the film because of what they saw. Superman is a great example. The Lex Luthor stuff, the 1A, the 1A, the 1A, the Mr. Terrific stuff, that was enough to have people go, you know what? I'm about to go and see this film. But then on the completely opposite side of that, for Fantastic Four, the Silver Surfer stuff wasn't strong enough to get people to basically get up and go, you know what, instead of watching this on TikTok, I'm going to go to the movie theater and check this out myself. You'll be like, well, why is that? We arrive at the final reason. And the final reason is everything is more expensive, but people are not being paid more. The amount of money you are getting paid today is roughly what you were making 10, 15 years ago, and everything is far more expensive now. I think going to the fucking movie theater, I get a thing of popcorn, I get like two hot dogs, and I get a bottle of water, and that's like 38, 40 fucking dollars. That is expensive as shit. Not only that, but the ticket themselves are like 17, 18, 19, depending on where you fucking go, 20, 21, 22, $25 just to be able to get it. Or is it IMAX? Oh, it's a surcharge for IMAX. It's going to be $25 per ticket. It's expensive. People do not have the amount of money that they had 15 years ago. Like, there isn't like the ability to just throw money at Marvel because you had to go see I got to see how the MCU ends. And I know I said that the money thing was the final thing. It's technically a lot, but for a lot of people, Endgame was the last thing that they wanted to invest in Marvel. For them, they were there for the 10-year stretch. Once they finished Endgame, they could close the book and they could essentially move on. There was no sense in basically sitting around and hoping in some way, shape, or form that the MCU would give you like another 10 years. No. I started with Captain America and Iron Man and Hulk and Thor and all these characters, and I saw all of their journeys all the way up to Endgame. And now that I've seen the entire full journey, I can say that I'm done. And those people were done. They might come back for the Spider-Man, which is probably the only film that's gonna break $1 billion. Yeah, I would say Spider-Man is probably the only film that's gonna break $1 billion because people are fucking loving what they're seeing online. They're loving the new suit, they're loving the new action stuff. Everything looks great. So that's gonna break $1 billion. Doom War gonna break $1 billion. Why? People are gonna come back for Robert Downey Jr. They're gonna come back for the hints of Chris Hemsworth, not Chris Hemsworth, too many goddamn Chris's. Chris Evans as Hydra Captain America. Too many damn Chris's. Chris Hemsworth as Thor. People are gonna come back for that. And then they're gonna come back for Secret War because they want to see how these two movies are basically gonna end. And then of course everything is gonna be reset after that. What's the plan? That's a good fucking question. I don't think there's any way. Well, I mean, there is a way. Funny enough, I said it during I believe it was either the Superman review or maybe it was the Superman spoiler talk, one of those two, where I was talking about how if you really, really want to have a successful project now, $200 million is too much to spend on your movie. You've gotta dial back the scale. I think the best thing that they're doing with Spider-Man is that they're dialing back the scale. It's not gonna be world ending. We need multiple CGI because we've got to CGI the lizard and Doctor Strange doing a thing in the sky. No. Ground level. Only person getting CGI is gonna be Mr. Negative. That's it. I don't expect. Then again, who knows? It might end up costing like $200 million. Wait a minute. Spider-Man Brand New Day. I wonder if they have the amount that Brand New Day is going to end up costing cost wise. No, it doesn't have the cost for the film up yet. We'll probably see that once the film actually comes out. But it's not going to cost as much as Ant-Man Quantumania or as Fantastic Four First Steps. Not as much CGI. That's what I'm hoping. But it's what I said for Superman, which is you don't need to spend $200 million. You can do $100 million. You can do a super contained and good story, and then your movie can make 500, $600 million, and then that's a victory. That's a small victory because you're looking at Superman, and Superman has done, I believe Superman has done 400, no, $550 million. Superman's done 551 million on a budget of 225, and I think they had to break $450 million in order to break even. So they've made $100 million over what they were supposed to make in order to break even. And I think in order for them to be profitable, they had to have at least made $700 million or something along those lines. Are they going to hit $700 million? I don't know, because every single week that rolls around, it makes like another 20, 30, $40 million. So we're basically sitting to see whether or not that's a thing. And then I don't think it's come out in China yet. So when it comes out in China, that might be like another $100 million maybe that they're going to be able to make. But then when you take a step back and you look at Thunderbolts, Thunderbolts did, I think some Thunderbolts only did like 400 million or something along those lines. No, yes, they only did $400 million on a budget of 180 million. Thunderbolts did 38.2, and I don't think they were able to break even. I think breaking even for them was also around $500 million, so they fell short. And you're looking at Fantastic Four First Steps, and Fantastic Four First Steps is almost in the exact same situation that Thunderbolts was in, which is chances are it's probably just gonna break even, and it's not gonna be able to make any more because it looks as though its momentum has stalled. $200+ million right now, box office wise, 367 million, which means chances are it'll probably hit 400, 450, hopefully maybe 500 million, and that's it. No more. I'm sorry to say, but Marvel is going to have to just restructure the way in which they do these movies going forward. No longer the gigantic 200, $250 million spectacle. Now 100, 120, $150 million, and then hope that you hit around 400, $500 million so that you're in the super profitable margin and you keep it moving. This is a side tangent, but the first Joker film, the first Joker movie, and I have to look this up because I wanna point something out. The first Joker movie cost $70 million, and it made 10.1 billion. The second Joker movie cost $200 million, and it only made 207 million. It was an absolute fucking disaster. Why? Because the budget was overblown, the story was fucking horrible, things were shoehorned in, and once people heard that it was going to be a fucking musical, it drove people away to the point that they didn't want to get anywhere near the theater in order to see that film. Be more like the first Joker. You can rein it in, have a really, really nice and tight script, 100 million, 120 million, make your film, not as much CGI, probably some more practical effects with some CGI touch-ups like you did for the Thing and Fantastic Four, and you'd be fucking straight. But this is just the way in which things are going to be going forward in the future. There has been a lot of trust lost, and that lost trust has a lot to do with Marvel fucking up instead of people losing interest, because there really isn't any type of like superhero fatigue. When the next Batman film drops with Robert Pattinson, that's probably going to make like 700 $800 million. When the next Superman film, now that people know just how good the first one was, that's probably going to make it $600 million, $700 million again, and that's okay. We're no longer in the environment for the multi-billion-dollar box office rake-in of a superhero film. The ensemble films, yes, but just general superhero films, no. Um, like I'm telling you, man, Marvel should fucking hire me. Like I would sit on those board meetings and be an absolute fucking menace. You would hate every single thing that comes out of my mouth, but you would know in your heart of heart that I am telling you the absolute fucking truth. But let me know what you think about this. About Fantastic Four not making or not looking like it's gonna turn a profit. The reasons why the MCU isn't really doing as well. Um, Superman actually doing good because its message was a little bit different than the MCU. The current states of everybody's wallets, because we're all fucking struggling, we're all goddamn poor. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Comment down below, and I'll catch you in the next one. All right, peace. I don't know if I'm gonna edit this. If I edit this film, like with cut-ins from different projects and stuff, that's probably because I had the time. But if I just upload this and there's no cuts and it's just me talking for like yapping for like 27 minutes, oh fucking well. But if you made it to the end, thanks. I know who the OGs are, the people that actually kick back and watch the entire video. I appreciate you guys. See ya.